Hi everyone, Steve here from Advanced English with Steve UK. Now, all of you seem to enjoy the quizzes I've been doing, the C1, C2 level quizzes, but some of you complained that they're a bit difficult. What do you expect? The C1, C2 level. So anyway, here's another quiz for you, and this one is very easy. No, it isn't. This one's challenging too, okay? I'm going to test your knowledge of idioms, phrasal verbs, and collocations. Okay, it's difficult, but bonus here, because when I give you the answers, it becomes a kind of a lesson as well. I'll explain a bit more about the particular lexical chunk which has been part of the quiz, and I'll also talk about the other answers, why they're not possible, and how you might use them in different circumstances. Okay, so in the quiz itself, there are 20 questions. You have 30 seconds to come up with the right answer, right? Then short pause, and then we'll go on to discuss the answers. So hope you enjoy it. It should prove very valuable for you. These are chunks, the expressions that we use every day. None of them are particularly obscure. They are popular. I'll say the usual, please don't forget to subscribe and leave comments. I love to see them. Okay, just remember. All right, come on, let's get on with the quiz. The car won't start. I need this like I need a in the head. Bullet, hole, kick, or punch. Oh, it was a hard marathon, but I finished third. I'm to bits. Puffed, tired, chuffed, or choked. I've no complaints about the course. It did what it said on the label, packaging, blurb, or tin. The man's a complete idiot, to put it mildly, rudely, softly, or politely. Yeah, I love the job, but it's non-stop. There's never any let off, over, up, or out. We've just about finished the project. A few more tweaks and we'll be able to put it to bed, sleep, rest, or chill. You should book that holiday. From what the brochure says, it should you down to the ground. I made one mistake long ago and said sorry. Are you going to it against me for the rest of my life? Keep, hold, press, or push? He said he told me. He certainly did not. The man's a bare liar. Faced, cheeked, lipped, or toothed. Her opinion is worthless. Don't take a bit of notice of what she says. Pretty, brain, blind, or tittle. She always has so much to say at meetings. It's obvious to me that she's for promotion. Fishing, angling, trying, or dangling. She was only pretending to be interested in me to make her boyfriend jealous. She led me down the path. Country, winding, garden, or teasing. It's a bargain at that price. If I were you, I'd it up. Wrap, snap, stitch, or grab. I agree he's a bit obnoxious at times, but when all's undone, he's a hard worker. Told, said, or admitted. You'll easily get the job. You know your stuff. The interview will be a breeze, sneeze, freeze, or wheeze. Poor Mark. He's worried stiff. The boss wants to see him, and he's got the up in case he's going to be fired. Flare, sick, wind, or worry. One thing you can say about Emma, she's not very bright, but she's got of enthusiasm. Tins, packs, sounds, or bags. The train was so crowded, it was of youngsters going to the music festival. Lockful, chockful, sockful, flockful. After the fire, the safety inspector was fired due to his negligence. Rash, crass, gross, ash. There's no getting from it. After that awful performance at the talent show, she's never going to get to the finals. Out, up, away, or over. Okay, how did you do? You find it really easy? Yeah, okay, all right. Let's have a look at the answers. Okay, I need my glasses on now to read what the slides were. The car won't start. I need this like I need a hole in the head. This really is very common when you're frustrated about something. Let's look at the alternatives. Bullet in the head, well, it might sound logical, but no, it doesn't work. How can you use bullet? Oh, you just have to put up with it. You have to bite the bullet. You have to grit the teeth and deal with it. So that's an idiom with bullet. Kick? A kick in the head, well, that wouldn't be very pleasant. How can we use kick as an idiom? I get a kick out of something. Do you get a kick out of idioms? Maybe. I get a kick out of teaching English. That's how you can use kick. Punch? More difficult. One thing you could use is punch as an adjective. You could say, using a hole in the head, I need this like a hole in the head, is a punchy idiom. It has impact. People would be impressed. There you go. It was a hard marathon, but I finished third. I'm chuffed to bits. Chuffed to bits is sort of slang. You do hear it quite often. It means very pleased, you're exhilarated, you're over the moon. Puffed? Well, of course you may be puffed if you've just been doing a marathon. That's why I put it in there, to be a bit misleading. So yeah, you could be puffed, but it's not an idiom. Choked? Well, if you're choked, and it wouldn't be choked to bits, if you're choked about something, and it's not choked to bits about something, if you're choked about something, you're upset. I received bad news and I'm really choked about it. I'm tired to bits. No, you don't need to bits with it. You just say, I'm really tired. More likely, I'm really exhausted. So there you are. You're chuffed to bits. You've completed the marathon and finished third. Maybe next time, if you train harder, you'll come first and you'll be even more chuffed to bits. I love this one. I've no complaints about the course. It did what it said on the tin. You often see this on Amazon reviews. It's okay, nothing special. It does what it says on the tin. In other words, it's adequate, basically. It does what it says on the tin. It does what's advertised. Label, well, it could do what it says on the label, but that's not an idiom. It does what it says on the blurb. A blurb is a piece of copy, a piece of text written to describe something. Often you see a blurb on the back cover of a book explaining what the plot is about. Okay, that's a blurb, but it doesn't work as an idiom. Did what it said on the packaging? Well, literally, it's okay, but it doesn't work as an idiom, okay? It did what it said on the tin. It's a fun one. Try using it. The man's a complete idiot, to put it mildly. Yeah, mildly. You wouldn't say rudely. Well, you are putting it rudely, but you're saying you're putting it mildly. In other words, he's more than an idiot. He's a complete lunatic, absolutely stupid. Softly doesn't work, to put it softly. Okay, in actual fact, you're being quite aggressive about it. To put it mildly. To put it politely, the same. You're not putting it politely, are you? You're saying he's a complete idiot, so you're not putting it politely. So saying to put it mildly is a bit, as we say, tongue-in-cheek, a little bit sarcastic, and we British like to say it's irony rather than sarcasm. But the man's a complete idiot, to put it mildly. This is hard work, to put it mildly, meaning it really is very hard work. Yeah, I love the job, but it's non-stop. There's never any let-up. To say there's never any let-up means there's no respite, there's no rest. It doesn't slow down, it continues at a fast pace, at a hard pace. Let off doesn't work. To let someone off is to forgive them, is to excuse them. Let out, well, a let out is a way of escaping something. I have a let out from going to the meeting because I've got a bad cold. Let over as a phrasal verb really doesn't exist. I can't think of an example there. So it's, yeah, I love the job, but it's non-stop. There's never any let-up. Okay. We've just about finished the project. A few more tweaks and we'll be able to put it to bed. Tweaks are little changes. You tweak something. And we talk about putting it to bed. That means finishing it. We put it to bed. We don't put it to sleep. If you put it to sleep, then it's going to mean that it's inactive, isn't it? And we're not talking about it being inactive. Put it to rest, same as using sleep, really. That doesn't work. We'll put it to chill. Yeah, well, you know, for how long? We're not putting it in the freezer, and we finished it. We're putting it to bed. It's finished. We'll be able to put it to bed. After you've finished this quiz and the explanations, you'll have learned them and you'll be able to put them to bed. You'll remember them, hopefully. You should book that holiday. From what the brochure says, it'll suit you down to the ground. Yeah, suit you down to the ground. Not fit you down to the ground. You might say, oh, that dress will really fit you. It will really suit you. You can say it will really suit you, and it will really fit you, or it really fits you. When we're using down to the ground, we use suit, okay? It wouldn't take you down to the ground, would it? I mean, to take you down to the ground would sound very negative. It's a negative expression. As send you down to the ground would be, you know, Why would the holiday send you down to the ground? It sounds like it's going to be a bad holiday. It would make you very upset, very worried. So no, it would suit you down to the ground. And learning idioms and expressions in this way, I hope, suits you down to the ground. I hope so. You can imagine this one being said in a relationship, in a marriage, or in a man-woman, or any pair relationship. I made one mistake long ago, and I said sorry. Are you going to hold it against me for the rest of my life? Yep, we're using hold here. Not press it against me. That just doesn't work. Neither does keep, nor push. You hold it against someone. In the same way that we have the collocation, we hold a grudge about someone. So you hold this incident against someone for the rest of their life or for a long time. You don't forgive them. I hope you're not in that situation. He said he told me. He certainly did not. The man's a barefaced liar. Barefaced liar. Okay, lipped doesn't work. You don't talk about being a bare-lipped liar. If someone has a lot of lip, it means they talk a lot and not nicely. You know, you can tell children not to give you any lip. It means any cheek to say any bad things. You can talk about someone having a lot of lip. They talk often unkindly. You wouldn't say a bad tooth liar. You can bare your teeth. Humans don't usually do it, but animals do, don't they? I mean, dogs bare their teeth when they're angry, but you don't talk about being a bare-toothed liar. Bare-cheeked liar? No. Cheek we use in a different way. You have a lot of cheek. Okay, of course, this is your cheek, but it doesn't mean that. If you have a lot of cheek, you have a lot of nerve. If someone is cheeky, especially children, and they're being rude, you might say, stop being cheeky. You might say about someone, he has a lot of cheek, he has a lot of nerve. But in this case, we're talking about a man being a liar. So we say bare-faced liar. Her opinion is worthless. Don't take a blind bit of notice of what she says. A blind bit of notice. Pretty doesn't work. Why pretty? No, pretty bit of notice, you couldn't say that. Brain bit of notice? Well, I suppose it would suggest you were using your brain, but no, that doesn't work. Tittle, a tittle bit of notice of what she says. I don't think tittle exists as an individual word. It's part of a double word, which is tittle-tattle. If someone tittle-tattles, then they gossip. Don't listen to her tittle-tattle. Lovely word, isn't it? Lovely British English word. She's full of tittle-tattle. But we talk about not taking a blind bit of notice, not taking any notice at all. Why we say blind bit of notice, I don't know, but we do, and it really is common. She always has so much to say at meetings. It's obvious to me that she's angling for promotion. Angling is fishing. Usually in a river or a canal, although you can angle at sea. You know, you have a man there, it could be a lady, I suppose, you know, with a fishing rod, and he's angling for fish. He's trying to catch fish. fishing for promotion. Fishing you can use in a collocation, but it's usually fishing for compliments. Okay, so that's the use of fishing. Trying, no, that doesn't work as a collocation or idiom. Dangling, no, that doesn't work either. You dangle something in front of someone as an incentive, so dangle doesn't work. It could be that angling in this idiom comes from a different source. I think it comes from fishing, but it could be angling in she's adopting a different angle, a different perspective. But I suspect it comes from fishing. She's fishing for compliments. She's angling for promotion. She was only pretending to be interested in me to make her boyfriend jealous. She led me down the garden path. This is an old one, to lead someone down the garden path. It means to mislead them. Country path? Well, the country path would work, but it's not an idiom. She led me down the country path in the wrong direction. The same with winding path, because that suggests she was misleading again. But again, it's not an idiom. Garden path is the idiom. Teasing, it would make a good idiom, but it's not. You'd have to say, instead of she led me down the garden path, she was just teasing. But then it's not an idiom. To lead someone down the garden path is to mislead them. It's to be dishonest in a way, I guess. Okay? To lead someone down the garden path. It's a bargain at that price. If I were you, I'd snap it up. To snap it up. To snatch it. To get it straight away. Not wrap it up. Wrap's not going to work, is it? You might wrap up a deal. You might conclude a deal, but you don't wrap up a bargain. Stitch it up? No, stitch is used in a negative way. If someone stitches you up, then they are cheating you. He sold me that car. It was overpriced. He stitched me up. I was stitched up. Grab it up? No. But you could say, I'd grab it. It's a bargain at that price. If I were you, I'd grab it. But not grab it up. So we use, I'd snap it up. Yeah, to snap something up is very common. You saw something at a cheap price, you snapped it up. You made an instant decision before someone else bought it. I agree he's a bit obnoxious at times, but when all's said and done, he's a hard worker. Said and done. Not told. Told doesn't fit there. Okay? When we say when something's said and done, it means when you take everything into account. At the end of the day, he's a hard worker. You take into account. He's not a nice person. He's obnoxious. You've got to admit he's a hard worker. And there you've got admitted, but that wouldn't work when all's admitted and done. It just sounds clumsy. You could say, but you have to admit he's a hard worker. That would work. Admired? No. You are not particularly full of admiration for him. He's a bit obnoxious after all. It just happens that he's a hard worker. You'll easily get the job. You know your stuff. The interview will be a breeze. A breeze is a slight wind. It suggests maybe a nice warm wind. A breeze, if something's a breeze, it's easy. Okay? You could say the interview will be a piece of cake. The interview will be as easy as pie. Perhaps you don't know those idioms. A piece of cake, as easy as pie, are two other idioms which mean very easy. But in this context, the interview will be a breeze, works better. It suggests that you'll sail through it. There's a good breeze behind you and you'll sail through it. And incidentally, idioms using sailing are very, very common in English, probably because we are an island nation and we have a long seafaring tradition. So, sailing ahead, we have the wind behind us. All these kind of idioms are very popular. Freeze doesn't work. The interview will be a freeze. God, if you freeze up at an interview, I think you've lost the job. The interview will be a sneeze. No, I don't think so. You're being interviewed and suddenly it's excuse me. No, that doesn't work. Similarly with wheeze. To wheeze, when you've got a cold, like when you're sneezing, you'd also be wheezing. If you're wheezing through the interview, then it's unlikely you're going to get the job either. So the interview will be a breeze. Okay. Poor Mark, he's worried stiff. The boss wants to see him and he's got the wind up in case he's going to be fired. You could say in case he's going to get the sack, which means to be fired. Now, flare up, it just doesn't work. If you flare up, then it means you suddenly become angry. You don't get the sick up. I mean, to sick up means to vomit. Okay. Maybe he does feel sick and nervous, but I think it's unlikely that he's going to sick it up, to vomit. And you don't talk about having the worry up. You get the wind up. Now notice it's wind. So we think of a wind in terms of weather, don't we? Really, it doesn't relate to that kind of wind. It's more the wind inside you, like when you belch or you make a rude noise. Babies get the wind, and you mums, the mums amongst you will know you, and maybe the dads as well. If you've been nursing a baby, sometimes they're crying because they've got some kind of pain, and you pat them on the back trying to get the wind up. So it's not the same as this one, but I thought I'd mention it. You get the wind up when you're worried, when you're concerned, when you're scared about something. Now, if we use a different pronunciation of wind, wind up. When you wind someone up, you tease them. Usually as a joke, you wind someone up, but sometimes you do it a bit maliciously. So it's not always good. So you tell someone something which is not true, and then you say, well, stop getting worried about it. I'm just winding you up. But in this case, it's unlikely that poor Mark is being wound up. Okay, he's not being wound up unless someone's told him that the boss wants to see him, which isn't true. He's got the wind up in case he's going to get the sack. Let's hope it's only a performance interview and the boss wants to tell him how well he's doing. I like to look on the bright side. One thing you can say about Emma, she's not very bright, but she's got bags of enthusiasm. Yeah, bags of enthusiasm. Very common. Not sounds of enthusiasm. She might sound enthusiastic, but you don't say sounds of enthusiasm. Tins of enthusiasm. Yeah, that would sound rather strange. I can't think of a way that you would use that in this context. Acts of enthusiasm? No, it doesn't work. It's just not a collocation. You know, collocations are words which go together. You could say bags of enthusiasm is an idiom. I tend to think of it as a collocation. You're talking about enthusiasm, bags of enthusiasm. You could say lots of enthusiasm. Bags is more powerful. And if you want to impress when you're speaking English, then you're going to start using these collocations. Bags of enthusiasm. Like you got bags of enthusiasm for learning these collocations and idioms and phrasal verbs, haven't you? Yeah. The train was so crowded, it was chock full of youngsters going to the music festival. Chock full. It means packed. It was packed out. The passengers were packed like sardines in a tin. That's another idiom collocation, packed tightly together. So chock full. You can also say it was chock-a-block. If something's chock-a-block, that also means very crowded. Lock full? No. Sock full? No, doesn't exist. Flock full? No. Flock? If you flock towards something, you run towards it. We talk about a flock of sheep, but we talk about people flocking towards the entrance or to the exit if there's an emergency. Maybe these youngsters are also flocking to the festival. They're flocking to the festival because it's very exciting. And as a result, the train is chock full of them. And the poor old guy like me couldn't get a seat. Okay, there you are. After the fire, the safety inspector was fired due to his gross negligence. Yeah, we say gross negligence. Collocation. Rash? Well, he might well have been rash, but it's not a collocation. You can make a rash decision. Maybe he made a rash decision which contributed to his gross negligence, but it's not a collocation, rash negligence. Crass, if something is crass, rude, disgusting, over the top, it doesn't work with negligence. I put in ash as a bit of a joke because it's a fire here. After the fire, you know, there would be ash negligence. Well, there'd be ash as evidence, I suppose, but it's not a collocation with negligence. We talk about gross negligence, gross negligence, gross negligence. Of course, it means big, it means expanded. If someone is gross, they're very big, they're overweight. But you often hear it used, especially by younger people, to say that something's gross. It's disgusting. Oh, what he said was gross. Oh, that meal was gross. Oh, I think he's gross. Not necessarily because he's overweight. You just don't like him. So it's come to mean different things. But here, gross negligence means huge. It means massive, massive negligence. There's no getting away from it. After that awful performance at the talent show, she's never going to get to the finals. No getting away from it. You wouldn't say there's no getting out from it. You'd have to say there's no getting out of it. To get out of is to avoid. So that doesn't really work here. Getting up from it, there's no getting up from it. Well, if you get up from something, you might recover, but again, that doesn't work. Now, over could work if we didn't have the from. You'd say there's no getting over it. There's no recovering from it. But the best one here is there's no getting away from it, okay? It means there's no denying. You can't deny it. That awful performance at the talent show has ruined her chances of getting through to the finals. So there's no getting away from it unless you study and revise phrasal verbs, collocations, and idioms that you find it difficult to speak fluent English. Okay, that was the last one. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and have learned something from it. I really would be pleased to hear from you, to hear how you did and what you've learned. Okay, it helps me in deciding what future content to produce for you. So please let me know, okay? And don't forget to subscribe. If you really do want to improve your English on a conversational level, I highly recommend that you join our Chatterbox Zoom workshops. They're very rewarding and they're great fun. You have lots of opportunity to speak, not just with me, but with others at C1, C2, level 2. If you're a B2 level, okay, approaching C1, then they're useful for you as well. I honestly believe that they are the most valuable thing that I do. It's a great atmosphere in the groups. It's like a family atmosphere. And we all enjoy learning together. Yeah, I enjoy learning as well. Because sometimes I discover approaches that work and which don't work. So my own development as a teacher improves because of the workshops. Give them a go. I'll leave the link in the description. Okay, see you again soon. Bye for now.